Yeah.
Hi, I'm Melvin.
And I'm Alex.
This is a project we worked on the last few weeks for this competition. Section 1, Installation.
First of all, we need to install this project so we can run it. So first we can go to this main GitHub repository and click on Releases version 1.0.
This takes you to a page where you can download run.zip, so let's download it. Then you can double click on it to open it.
After this, go in Terminal and assuming you have Python 3 and the libraries NumPy, Pillow, and Arcade, you can do the following commands.
CD desktop, that will bring me to my desktop because run is there. So I could just cd run, and now I could run this file, python 3 rpg.py.
Section 2, Tutorial. Assuming there are no errors, you should see this window.
This window. The first user-friendly thing is this tutorial at the bottom. Also, this window is fully resizable.
You simply have to press H to continue. When it's done, press H to start it again.
So it could H. Arrow keys to move. And as you can see, this up arrow key moves you up, and likewise for the other arrow keys. Feel free to explore the village.
This shows your coordinates, so if you want to visit a house again, you know how. Space to toggle compass.
So as you can see, I'm at 7,39. So let's explore. Ooh, NPC! But as you can see, this little house in the wild is not going to give me a lot of NPCs. So if you really want a lot of NPCs, you should go to the village center, which is located at 120. I'm going there.
Keys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, minus and equal sign to move through inventory. It does look quite messy though. You should clean it up.
Yeah, as you can see, there's flowers everywhere. Now let's find out how. And enter to put down stuff from different slots of your inventory. So I could like move to these flowers. I could enter, pick them up, move here, and then put them back down. So now I have 4 flowers here and nothing here. So I could put decorations there.
By repeatedly doing this, you can have room for other decorations. Also, you know how much of each you have.
Shift enter to carry only half. So with these inventory move shuffling commands, we're able to reach every possible position. Now I'm just going to clean it up a bit.
Section 3, Villagers. Click to place or collect items. Then, you can help pick up the weeds or add some extra decorations to a villager's garden.
However, picking up items only works if there's room in your current inventory slot. So, as you can see, I'm currently on the flowers, so I can't pick up this stump with the axe in it. However, if I move to something empty, like here, voila, it works! And then I can put it back down again.
However, the fun part of this game comes from
Press E to interact with an NPC or continue a conversation. Well, this might seem like a lot. What this means is simple. Cool, a child. E. Nice to meet you.
wow, these villagers around here are quite nice to newcomers.
So I press E again, and wow, this font represents what I'm going to say, but I have several options.
When you say something, use X and C to scroll through the options and Z to select.
So I could use X and C to see my options. Nice to meet you. Get out and bye.
Out of some kindness, I choose nice to meet you.
Nice choice. Now I just have to press C to select my option.
The villager replied.
Oh, nice meeting you. Bye.
When you're nice to villagers, they're nice to you.
You're too kind to try the other choices.
Maybe you can try it.
Section 4, Kindness. While you're interacting with these villagers, you can choose many different decisions as I just demonstrated, and they can lead to different outcomes.
Some of these outcomes are good, but some bad ones can be triggered by sending rude responses.
This reflects real-world kindness where your actions affect how people think of you.
Although the real world is vastly more complicated, in this simple environment you can still do many things.
You can, for example, decorate someone's garden by bringing them pictures from other villagers' gardens. For example, this villager might want a fence, so I'll put it here. Wait.
Isn't that robbery?
Remember, it didn't robbery because the villagers didn't tell me to stop. One villager's trash is another villager's treasure.
Overall, we're pretty happy with how this turned out, and we hope you are too.
While there isn't in-game tutorials that we're using, we hope that listening to us, the developers of the game, helped enhance your experience.
Also, we teach you about how kindness is important in this game.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
watching.
watching.
Hello, thank you for listening to our demo video a few seconds ago. So today I'm going to talk to you about the history of our game. And the game started out as not much of a game because actually we started off with a little game just to test the library we were using, which is arcade, because we don't really like Pygame that much. So the first game we created was just a black square moving on a rainbow background. However, rendering it pixel by pixel would lead to too much, so we decided to use arcade's best features, sprites. But if we don't have any assets, the game will look horrible. So thank you, Alex, for my other collaborator, for finding this great asset pack, a top-down adventure pack. Look at all the tiles it has. But if you want to look at this in its raw form, wow, look at this. This is huge, and it will be horrible if we use all this as one sprite. I mean, I don't want to show it, all of this, I just want to show one tile. Same thing for this, and then there are a lot of compilations outside of these two big tile sets. But all we ended up using was just this one, and the characters. But anyways, we had to write something to parse it. So I wrote parser.py, and right when I thought I was finished, I figured out that my code could only parse one image at a time. And considering the amount of image in here, that was slow. So I had to find another directory, passlib, and also shuttle to make sure that I could delete pass that you folders instead of manually having to delete them. And I upgraded it a bit, so now I could scan this whole thing at once. There was a README, so I had to make a tiny exception. And then there were GIFs. So, yeah, I had to write this whole big code for the GIFs. Just to make it neat because I never ended up using the GIFs. Images are just way better. PNGs. So, I ran it and now I have the parts tile set, which is much better. So then we started developing our game. We added procedural terrain generation, which is an unusual step. Most RPGs have a fixed map, but I didn't really feel like that. I mean, that's a bunch of numbers! So we added procedural terrain generation where everything was made out of blocks and some of them had some houses. NPCs weren't a thing back then, so it was pretty nice. We also added arrow key control. And also the feature, which you may or may not have noticed depending on how much you've played it, that going on a road makes you faster. But anyways, after a while we decided there was a problem. So first of all, I wanted to make a tutorial, and second of all, we realized that later we were going to have NPCs, and those NPCs would have to talk. So we needed a font. I didn't feel like designing one, so thank you, this text asset pack, for making all these wonderful fonts. There was just one problem. They were TTF. Well, this is great if you want to type in this font. It's not so great if you want to use this font for a game. So I had to go onto Scratch and use its great designer to manually write down all of these characters. I hope I didn't miss any. So after that, I had to make the background white so Scratch would actually count the whole size. And then I had to download it and parse it. And then the background was white, so I had to modify it so that whenever it saw a white, it would make it transparent. Which was not that hard, but ooh, the GIF code is still in there. So I didn't really modify it that much. Then I ran it and boom, I have fonts parsed. Nice. So now I just continued coding it. The next thing I did was to make the tutorial, but back then the tutorial is time-based. So basically, you had 2.5 seconds to read to the tutorial. And if you didn't read it, well, too late. And as you can see, that wasn't a really good decision. So we made it event-based instead. We made it so that every time you click the H, you get to the next screen. And then you could always restart it by pressing the H again. Now, this wasn't possible in our old system because it only measured the time that has passed since the start. So that was a great improvement if you can't read a whole tutorial in 2.5 seconds. You must think that we did that. Then the next thing we did was thank you, Alex, for coding the NPCs. And of course I added children and I added multiple NPCs per house. But now every house has an NPC, so it can't be too creepy. Also, have you noticed the feature that houses get more dense near the village, near the center of the village? Anyways, after we added the villager NPCs, we have to find a way to interact with them. Because what the NPC if you can't interact with it? Well, we have well, since there were 3 fonts, we decided to allocate them. This middle font is for the game speaking. That's the tutorial. Maybe I'll add it for some cool effects in the future. This is for the character speaking, as you saw when I had to make that tough decision. And this is the NPC speaking. And I just chose this because this is definitely the best font. This is the second best, and this is the third best. And of course, we're the game. We should get top priority. So, anyways, after adding interaction, we didn't want you to only be able to interact in one way. That wouldn't demonstrate kindness a lot. Also, would you like to listen to our tale? Your character says yes, even if you really want it to say no, and just skip it. So we made options, and every option triggers a different event. So your options actually matter. So we didn't start off with a lot, but we did have the concept of options and we implemented it, and here it is today. Also, somewhere along the path, we added that you could place gardens and also inventory, but it wasn't one of the features that we would like to highlight here, so we aren't going to highlight it. So thank you for listening to a brief history of our game.